Hey guys, Youngblood Fantasy 91 here with another commentary for you wonderful people. Music is my life, and music is one of the main reasons I exist, or at least that's how I see it. There's a beautiful quote by Nietzsche about music, in which he states that without music, life would be a mistake. However, if we are talking about music through the religiously biased lens of AprilAndWayneShow, then I suppose metal will drag you to hell, despite hell's overwhelming non-existence. I swear, either religious people don't care about logic, or they are that obdurate that they will refuse to listen to any rational counterpoint you have. I mean, who cares about music when you got religion? Anyway, I'll listen in and I'll see what I have to say about this. An FBI warning screen, totally official and original Do Not Steal XD. Scary, scary music. I'm literally having a mental breakdown. Save me from the irrationality, etc., etc. Changing it as I always do, because this is just a scare tactic to brainwash unwitting people. Okay, why is it always metal for these guys? It's not dance music, it's not rap, it's not dubstep, it's always gotta be metal that's constantly thrown under the bus. It's not like metal is a rogue Illuminati group that threatens to take apart people's minds to become soldiers of Satan, right? Oh wait, that's exactly how you're going to paint this genre in the video. How sad. By the way, you use the word bisexuality as if it were a bad thing. It's like intolerance is a tenet of Christianity. And you're going to sit here and say that rock and roll, metal's own progenitor, did nothing to enhance the drug scene in the music world, despite you guys stating right here that metal is the reason why many get into drugs. Also, how do you know that metal leads to suicide? Do you have any scientific research, or are you going to jump on this with blind faith, as most religious extremists do? Wait, the core of metal is sex, drugs, and rock and roll? What? Are you guys saying that rock and metal are the same? Or should I go on a limb and say that rock and roll is a requirement for metal's existence? If that's the case, then why is it that Christian rock bands covered this song? These guys can say that God gave us this music, yet here you are saying that metal is horrid, and the same thing God gave us turns us into enemies of God. I barely scratched the surface of this video, and I already destroyed its main premise. It's just that easy. Again, how in the world do you know that these guys sold their own souls to hell? Do their souls have deeds that can be easily accessed at your local library or something? And what is a soul anyway? Do they exist? Do they not? I ask this because if you're going to throw words around like souls and Satan and God and hell, I expect that they have some substance, or at least empirical evidence of existence. Sorry to say, I haven't seen any evidence of all listed above. Here's something that you guys fail to understand. Metal, like your religion, has undergone various schisms. These schisms allowed for the generation of multiple genres of metal, including doom metal, metalcore, deathcore, black metal, thrash metal, nu metal, progressive metal, and so on and so forth. Some of these genres are more, shall we say, intense and God-hating than others. While others are more tame and are more focused on the instrumentation rather than the let's hate God aspect some of these genres share, they're mostly different. So in effect, heavy metal is a constellation of genres that ultimately are not consistent. And you can't say all metal is leading people to hell. By the way, inside alert, Christianity is the same way. And Carnifex is deathcore, so that's why. And admittedly, deathcore sounds like crap anyways. You can't even decipher what the hell they're saying half the time, and their music sounds like a sludgy nightmare. But see, I can easily counteract your examples with examples of Christian metal bands. Yes, even Christians have their own metal that sounds somewhat similar to the guttural screams of these deathcore singers. So every time they mention a death metal band that they have a problem with, I'm going to counteract it with a Christian metal band. On with the video then. Really? Are you really going to bring back the whole we hate witchcraft thing? The Salem witch trials were a nightmare, by the way. Wait, stop. If you guys are so intent on disseminating your message, you should at least have the common courtesy to spell blasphemy right. That shows that you guys don't really care too much about what you do. Real nice to know that this is a half-hearted attempt to promote conspiracy theory thinking. Look, if you're going to make a point, again, actually proofread what you write, because evidently it shows you don't want to do anything else but derive attention from this sort of metal Bilderberg group claptrap. Extreme metal, again, is another subgenre. Not all subgenres are the same. And how do you know this? How can you make such claims without realizing that you're doing this as an exercise of faith, which holds zero in comparison to reason? The one true God that you speak of would have purged the earth of all evil. The one true Savior, instead of deceiving people, hardening hearts, and committing genocide, would have simply destroyed Satan in hell. I could go on talking about the problem of evil, but that would take too much time, and it's not the main scope of the video. For now, just know that God cannot be truly omnipotent, otherwise evil would be an obsolete term. Because we all know that every single metal player in the world has utilized demonic possession at some point or another to get their way. Richie Blackmore's playing, demonic possession. Robert Plant's singing, demonic possession. Dickie Peterson's songwriting, Gandalf did it. $5 says they quote mine people just to prove demonic possession occurs, since we all know it affects every single metal musician ever. Again, how in the 9 regions of hell itself do you know this? Is it reasonable to say that you sat through a plethora of rock concert footage and suddenly came to the conclusion that these guys were possessed? If you're going to categorize movements and zeal and passion as demonic possession, then by your logic, this is demonic possession. That makes no sense. You make no sense! So what I see happening here is that you're misinterpreting an obvious idiomatic expression to the point where you're equating it with demonic possession. I love how religious extremists try to establish their point based on misinterpretation and error. And here we see more proof that these guys ultimately are trying too hard to find validity in their statements. This Bill Ward quote, for instance, could be referring to God, and if you actually read into Black Sabbath's history, Bill Ward tried to rid his apartment of the devil's presence by repainting his room red. Also, this quote by Angus Young clearly shows he gets so into the guitar work that he feels he's possessed. There is no evidence to say that devils have possessed him, only that he is passionate about his work. I am an evidentialist by trade, guys, so if you're going to talk the talk and not walk the walk by copy-pasting a bunch of random quotes that sound like devil possession and then expecting us to automatically take your claims at face value, then I don't find any validity in the quotes. Wait, you're actually providing proof of devil possession, even though it's an impossible feat to even ascertain devil possession since we can easily refute the idea of hell? Well, let's see this video clip then. You're kidding me, right? Are you meaning to tell me that this is devil possession? I can just substitute this clip with any rock clip and I can easily make the dismissible claim that these people were possessed. Because of course, cursory examination always leads to empirical, provable, incontrovertible evidence of anything, regardless of lack of ability to test these claims. Here, let me show you what I mean. Whoa, whoa, Tiny Tim needs an exorcist over here. He looks like he's shaking all over and funneling in the power of the devil. Oh shoot! Oh damn, get a priest in the house because Keith Moon is becoming a pawn of the devil. Oh god, his movements aren't indicative of being passionate in the performance. Oh hell nah! More quotes, eh? Allow me to dissect all of them. John McLaughlin's music was mostly based on Eastern and Indian music. Are you meaning to tell me that you're not even going to consider the possibility that McLaughlin finds validity in Hinduism and Buddhism? Oh wait, Christians hate all other religions, so of course Buddhism and Hinduism are the devil. Makes perfect sense. Hell no. You are not throwing John Lennon under the bus. Just because he renounced religion does not automatically mean he is a goddamn heathen. There is no proof he ever was possessed, and maybe he could be acting facetious. You don't know. Taking things out of context does not help your case at all. Imagine no possessions, sir. Actually, I'm pretty sure the death growl was a vocal technique developed by metal musicians to personify the deep and dark sound they had at their disposal. I mean, the low guttural utterances employed by death metal bands such as, surprisingly, Death, were used to contrast with high screaming voices such as Rob Halford's and Robert Plant's. Then again, seeing how you guys have a religious lens to everything, you're going to say that this is how they develop a connection to the devil, even though really these voices simply embellish. Again, this is because they belong to the subgenre of deathcore. The reason they act this way is because they have deathcore influences. Of course, I don't like deathcore that much because it's indiscernible music, and they do over-dramatize their ideas of darkness and Satanism and all that junk. However, I could turn this against you and say that Christian metal bands exist, and they advocate the conquering of Satan, yet they use similar vocal and instrumental techniques. If you cannot recognize your own kind defending your religion with their music, then honestly, you're myopic and the fault lies with you. About souls and deeds? Yeah, that should probably come in handy right now. You do realize that Bon Jovi was probably joking around when saying this, right? The language here sounds like the words of a teasing, exaggerating musician. Unless if you can hire fact-checkers to prove that Bon Jovi was being ultra-serious here, this is yet another misinterpretation, proving again that the Christian stereotype are religious people who miss the point. Way to make yourselves look good. Again, with a terrible grammar. You know, I'm starting to think you guys made this to demonstrate that Christians are dogmatic and babble on and on as a result of total cognitive surrender. But do go on. I love pointing out the myriad of spelling mistakes you make in this video. And this is obvious quote mining because Little Richard's first line of work was gospel music. Little Richard is a very religious man, fellas. He actually believes in Seventh-day Adventism, but you know what? Little Richard goes the extra mile by saying, these are good people in all churches. Some Buddhists really love God. Some Jehovah's Witnesses too. It doesn't matter what church you belong to. Only God can read a man's heart. So even Little Richard is more tolerant than you idiots. Best example of a quote misfire I have ever seen. Now, because the next segment of the video is simply copy-pasting quotes from the book He Came to Set the Captives Free, I am going to pick out one or two salient quotes from the book that they use to try to corroborate their arguments. Bear in mind, this book is heavily biased with religious claptrap, so I am going to explain how hypocritical they are when they talk about things such as control by Satan. Here we go. And yet here you are brainwashing hundreds of people on YouTube telling them that they should worship God and follow Jesus when you cannot prove God's existence, and you can only talk about Jesus in a historical context. That being said, trying to quash reason in favor of faith is always a minus since it impinges on how we think. As for this quote, this is quite a demonstration of human folly. All of a sudden you are speculating something so conspiracy theory-esque that the false idea of us never landing on the moon pales in comparison. This mind control crap is another way of you religious extremists saying, boo-hoo, people don't find validity in Jesus, so we're going to find ways to shove it down other people's throats. I got it, let's just say that these enemies of Jesus are affected by music in the form of mind control, even though again we have God deceiving us and killing humans mercilessly. Get over yourselves. Just screw it. Bring out the Christian metal. Thank you. This will counteract the next 45 seconds of inaccurate labeling this video demonstrates. Don't you think there's a slight bit of truth here? Referring back to an old rant video of mine where I discuss end-of-the-world prophecies, I talk about plenty of religious leaders that became false prophets and try to predict the end of the world but to no avail. People like William Miller or Charles Taze Russell or Elizabeth Prophet or Leland Jensen or even Harold Camping should not be trusted by any of us. They try to lead us to the way of chaos and destruction, so why should so-called religious prophets be paid any more mind than your average homeless man on the street raving about his own inchoate ideas? Wait, if Christianity disappeared, the world would have its darkest days. Okay, the Catholic Church imprisoned Galileo for being right with his scientific experimentation. They believed the Earth was the center of the universe, and they almost went after David Hume for being an atheist, even though Christianity was modified for personal gain, the reason for massive purges and wars, and even enough cause for favoritism between sects. Yeah, dark days didn't already occur with Christianity at the forefront. Again, conspiracy theory speculation holds nothing unless you can empirically prove it. All you did was show quotes from their songs, and that's it. You're appealing to your own opinions and saying they're inherently better than others without even bothering to fact-check what you say. This is why the entire video is a farce. Christian metal music, away! So what are you saying? Metal musicians are now part of the Freemasons? I don't know. Whenever you use the word Illuminati in this sense, it almost smacks of ignorance. It's like code word for, we don't have any other explanations, so we're going to say metal music indoctrinates people into their own cult. Save the children! I don't see how this is provable or valid. Again, this is how extremist religious folk think. Yes, the Bible talks about unicorns, dragons, stoning women if they were raped, bets with Satan over human life, genocide, fratricide, infanticide, and God telling others to kill other people. So, yeah, it's definitely a paragon of morality and reason. And deny yourself? So we can't think anymore? Definitely indicative of brainwashing, the way you describe Christianity. And all you provided as proof were quotes taken out of context, music videos that are easily considered artistic embellishments, silly conspiracy theory speculations, and concert footage that show people getting in the zone with their music, even though you claim it's demonic possession. This video is as flimsy as a three-legged table. Yeah, I'll definitely subscribe if I want to hear more conspiracy theory-laden crap and unsubstantiated arguments concerning metal. And I'm surprised you're going the extra mile to further demonstrate that Christianity is full of ignorance and hatred. And that's the way it is. So, folks, all music consists of mind control. Music will sway you to do many sacrilegious things, whether it's rocking out, talking about how the music affects the musicians, playing a solid set, and most importantly, entertaining the masses. Because that is definitely what is going on here, especially when considering how metal is variegated in regards to the many subgenres it contains. Let us not forget either that religion can be just as dangerous as being violent, because once you let ignorance control your points of view, then you ultimately lose out on being objective, knowledgeable, and understanding in any situation. Once you say that God is a being that controls everything you do, you somehow lose a part of your individuality, especially when you proselytize and tell people that they are wrong. As a scientist, I have to be open-minded, but as an amateur debater, I have to identify subpar argumentation, and this video is a living testament to that concept. If you're going to be intolerant, then that's hilarious, and if you're going to disregard metal music even though many Christians support metal music, then I don't know what to think of you, and you'll probably say you're in a different group than the other Christians, thus breaking up your religion further, and further proving to me that Christianity is a constellation of similar beliefs, not a uniform series of beliefs that everyone can agree upon. The day I believe in witchcraft is the day I reject science, and the day I turn my back on metal music is the day I become alienated by music, except for deathcore metalcore that actually sucks major ass. Anyway, that's all I have to say about this. This is Youngblood Fantasy 91. And ladies and gentlemen, I'll see you all in the brighter later.